Hi everybody, I'm Edmund White and we're beginning keyboards. Today I want to look at playing by ear and from a fundamental level, just giving some ideas of how you can approach that. Now, above all, although I'm going to present some ideas, some fundamentals, above all, it's all about practicing. It's all about developing your hearing and developing your understanding. The more you play, the more you will find yourself able to do this. But there are some principles that make the learning process shorter and make more sense. Now, there are a few approaches to doing this, and one is by listening to a bass line and applying chords, suitable chords to that bass line. The other ways are from learning the different sounds of the chords, whether it's a 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, which in the key of C would be C, F, and G as an example. They have different sounds and different feels, so you can more or less learn how they sound and also how it fits within the song. That is a practice thing. That's something that you must practice. And also, there is a concept of using progressions. A progression is a sequence of chords within a song, and an example would be, let's say, 1, 4, 5, where you played the C followed by the F followed by the G. Okay, but what we're going to do is look at the bass line of a song. Okay, so let's get right into this. Hi, so let's look at what we're going to do. We're going to look at a song, Trust in God, and we want to find first the key and then listen to the bass line. So let's have a listen. Let's go from around here. Let's go back a bit. So you want to find that key. Remember, we're looking for that note. Okay, listen to the bass note where it goes to a resting stage. That's the resting. That's the resting note. Where it went down to here. Okay, that is the resting note. Now, if this is your resting note, that means that's your key. Right? Any other bass note in there is going to be something that sounds like it's not finished, but that one's finished note. Let's hear what we hear in terms of the bass line. And it goes. Okay. And then I hear a then this note. Then it repeats the same thing again. You can hear the bass line a bit more clearer now. F. Let's stop that there. So that will then go into the chorus. Now, what we want to do is find the chords. We want to harmonize these bass notes, which means we want to put chords on top of them. Now, what we're going to do is the simplest way, and that is we have a note, the bass note, and we just play the chord for that bass note. So the first note is C, we should play the chord C. Blessed assurance, da, da, da. The next note was A, so we're going to play A minor. And then the next note was F, we'll play F major. Then it went to E, let's play E minor. And then D minor. Okay, so we're using the bass line, which was la da da la da right? So all we then do is simply harmonize those as we've seen. Now there was just one problem, and that was the E minor. Then it went to E. That doesn't quite sound right. And this is where we need to kind of adjust our methodology here. And that is, if it doesn't sound right, choose another chord. But choose another chord that has that E note in it. The bass note must be in the chord. So what we want to do is find out what other chords are there. Now, in terms of the basic triads that we are using, we're not looking at fancy chords, just the basic chords that we have in our key of C, which is C, D, E, D minor, sorry, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, E diminished. And we want to find which ones have the note E. Each note should have 3 chords that you can play. So in terms of E, we can play E minor, or we can play C, or we can play A minor. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose the A minor. Okay, there are some other rules that you can use, and that is listen to the note that the person is singing, and that note should also be in that chord. But I know that the chord that the person is singing at this point is also E, so that doesn't really help. If it was a different note from E, then that would help, and then you can choose the chord. But this is where you would more or less get into listening and seeing, well, is it a major type of sound or a minor type of sound? But then we just experiment at this stage. So we're going to use, instead of the E minor, we're going to use A minor. So let's try it. La, 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 to the A minor, then to the F major. La, 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 la. Then we're going to go to the E, but we're going to do it A minor. Da, 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 da. That sounded a bit better. Okay, so let's use that. La, da, 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 da. La, da, da, da. La, 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 da, 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 da. Okay. Now that, in this particular song, that repeats, and I'm going to play the whole song, but that repeats, that bass line repeats, and it's quite similar for the chorus as well. Now, what I would advise you to do is to, in your own time, try that, get the bass, the key, sorry, find what that key is. Remember, you want the key that is the resting tone, and then what you want to do is find the bass line and add the chords that go with the bass note at a particular time. You do not have to harmonize every bass note, but you use your hearing and know when the chords change, have an idea when the chords should change. That could be, if you're accustomed to reading music, then you could say it's at the beginning of the bar or halfway in a bar, but there's a feel. You would practice that and know, okay? And like, it's very unlikely that we could have played the same chord for all of those bass notes for too long. So there's going to be a point where you feel, yeah, you need to change. Okay, but if it's a busy bass line, you rarely need to play a chord for each note in that bass line. And I just want to say one more thing about determining that key, the resting tone. Remember, we looked at the different notes in a key. So if this is key of C and we had a bass line here, this is your la 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 da da. That does not sound like a resting note. That's where you feel it coming down. La la da 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 da. That's that nice finished tone. La da da da. That does not sound like a resting tone. an active tone. But and the chord itself is resting. It sounds finished, and pretty much resting tones are where songs typically start or often start, and where they often end. Not always, but they often end. When it doesn't, if a song doesn't end on a resting tone, or a verse doesn't end on a resting tone, or a chorus doesn't end on a resting tone, it sounds unfinished. And that may happen at the end of a verse because it's active and it wants to go into the chorus. But the chorus is more likely to end in a resting tone. Okay, so that is going to be probably a big challenge right now, is to find that resting tone. So right now, I hope that has been helpful. I know it's just a little quick touch on the idea of playing by ear. Hopefully soon I'll be able to look at the other methods, which is using your hearing and being able to play the right chords at the right time and using progressions. Okay, thanks for being here, and please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.